More news, rumors and opinions Sunday PM May 18, 2025. Listen to the full version on the official dinarreport.com website and become our supporter on Patreon. Gold Telegraph. Major gold producers are focusing on acquisitions. May 17, 2025. Breaking news. Moody's downgrades United States credit rating on increase in government debt. Gold. Breaking news. Federal Reserve to shrink staff by about 10% over next several years. Am I dreaming? Fed Chair Jerome Powell informed staff of the move on Friday in a memo. China slashed its U.S. Treasury holdings in March. The UK is now the second largest holder. The trend is very real. China is selling treasuries and buying gold. They say gold is boring. But I will take boring over watching the global debt market audition for a disaster movie. The script is still being written. A top Chinese gold producer is quietly looking all over the globe, looking to acquire real ounces while the world drowns in debt and digits. Major gold producers are focusing on acquisitions as they race to lock in ounces and replenish reserves. Only a matter of time. TNT. Lewan Deb NC. Moody's cuts U.S. government credit rating due to deficits and debt, blames successive U.S. administrations and Congress. U.S. government kisses its last AAA credit rating goodbye. Downgrade to junk would have been more appropriate? The U.S. government lost its last remaining AAA credit rating late Friday, as Moody's finally, after more than a decade of dithering, downgraded the government to A1. One notch below the top credit rating of AAA. The downgrade reflects the increase over more than a decade in government debt and interest payment ratios to levels that are significantly higher than similarly rated sovereigns, Moody's said in the announcement, and it added, successive U.S. administrations and Congress have failed to agree on measures to reverse the trend of large annual fiscal deficits and growing interest costs. We do not believe that material multi-year reductions in mandatory spending and deficits will result from current fiscal proposals under consideration. And it warned, persistent, large fiscal deficits will drive the government's debt and interest burden higher. The U.S. fiscal performance is likely to deteriorate relative to its own past and compared to other highly rated sovereigns. It expects the federal deficits to reach nearly 9% of GDP by 2035. Up from 6.4% in 2024. Moody's was the last of the three major U.S. credit ratings agencies to cut the U.S. government credit rating. Years behind. In 2011, S&P Global Ratings downgraded the U.S. one notch to A+. In 2023, Fitch Ratings downgraded the U.S. one notch to A+. While reading Moody's ratings rationale, one gets the impression that the U.S. government should have been cut to a junk credit rating, maybe to a mid-level junk rating such as Ba3, to allow for some wriggle room either way. Not that these downgrades make a lot, or any difference. For example, Moody's rates Japan A1, that's 4 notches below AAA and 3 notches below the new and improved U.S. credit rating, and so what? Nothing happened. The problem arises when inflation comes along and the bond market gets spooked, and if the central bank tries to bail out the borrower, such as the Fed trying to bail out the U.S. government, with bond purchases, QE, and interest rate repression, while inflation is taking off, it could cause inflation to go completely out of control and spiral into the triple digits, such as it has done in Argentina and many other countries. By which time the own currency becomes kind of useless. Everyone knows this, so this is likely not going to be experimented with in the U.S. Upon the news, the 10-year Treasury yield spiked in late trading all the way to high heaven, by something like, wait for it, 4 basis points, to a whopping 4.48%, about halfway back where it had been, yesterday. It's not until the bond market scares the bejesus out of Congress and the administration that they will do anything serious about reducing the deficits. Militiaman. The summit took place today. They talked about approvals, integration, a lot of different buzzwords that show Iraq is ready for investment for the private sector. For that to happen, we believe there's going to be an interconnectivity to the global financial system. They haven't done that at 1310. But they are expected to have a real effective exchange rate at some point in time. Frank 26, Iraq Boots on the Ground Report, Firefly. Television says Syrian debts to the World Bank, which is about $15.5 million, was just paid off by Saudi Arabia and Qatar. Your president is gone, but the shadow that he's casted over the Middle East is causing peace all over the place. MNT GOAT. One huge obstacle is still Iran, and this issue must be resolved. Remember that the US has to sign off on the reinstatement of the IQD to finalize the process. At this point it shows that goals have been accomplished and it's time to reap the benefits. Gold is the plan. Central banks know it. Basel III confirms it. Taylor Kenny. May 18, 2025. Why are central banks dumping US treasuries and buying record amounts of gold? This isn't a reaction, it's preparation. As the financial elite reposition their portfolios with physical gold, everyday folks are left in the dark. Taylor Kenny explains how Basel III and global gold policies are reshaping the financial world, and what you can do to stay ahead. Listen to the full version on the official dinarreport.com website and become our supporter on Patreon. Source: Dinar Recaps.